Hey babes, welcome to the Happiness Heals channel. My name is Tiffany. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back, friends. Today we're doing a plan with me session a little bit different than usual. I'm going to be doing a flip through of my January spreads in my Live Rich planner. Rather than the typical plan with me session where I only show you part of how I put together my planner, I'm going to do a quick flip through of all the pages that at least start me out in the month of January 2022. Going into the new year, I wanted to try some new things on my channel, and I wanted to give you some different perspectives of my planning experience. So let's get to it. I'm going to flip through to January in my planner, and it's very interesting because I'm so used to January being at the front of my planner, but because I started this planner toward the middle of last year, this is actually midway through this planner for this year. I will be ending it in June and then hopefully starting a new one in July of this year if the Budget Mom releases a new edition. I wanted to share with you what my January monthly spread looks like for this month. It did a very semi-neutral, I guess, layout for my monthly spread. I wanted to more or less highlight some of the important things that we have coming up. I'm trying to use up quite a bit of the stickers in my sticker collection, and one of my favorite sticker books is actually the It's Your Year to Shine sticker book, which I received in one of the Happy Planner Happy Boxes many years ago. But I still grab this sticker book around New Year's every year, just to be able to kind of pull the stickers out and use some of the themes in this particular sticker book because it applies, right? This is the sticker book that I used for my stickers today. I also used the washi that comes along with this particular sticker book or coordinates with this. And like I said, both of these were in former Be Happy boxes by the Happy Planner. I don't think that they, actually I take that back. I think they did release a regular sticker book that flips open at a later time with similar designs in it. So I don't think this particular sticker book is still available, but there is a newer version that has a very similar theme. I wanted to kind of walk through what I've kept the same in terms of my planner layout and then some of the new things that I've added. And I'm going to go through my monthly planner. I'm going to go through what was my personal finance page, which you'll see I've switched up layouts on, my first personal planning page, as well as my weekly spread in my January planner. So we're going to talk about all of those pages and what I've changed. So stay tuned and hopefully you'll watch to the end so you'll get some ideas about how you can enhance your Live Rich planner as well. So the monthly spread, if you watch some of my former videos, you know that I try to track a lot of things here. It's more or less my catch-all planner. And for that reason, I put in our appointments and color coordinate a lot of things. I have a key over here on the side that I've been using for a long time. I've started to actually lock in the colors of my dots so that each month I can start keeping up with what color is associated with which member of my family or which topic so that it doesn't necessarily have to change constantly. But either way, I'm still going to continue putting a calendar key on the side in the event that I do want to switch colors over time. I also like to include a few goals at the top of my page, just things to help me make sure I stay focused for the month, things particularly associated with moving into the new year for me in this case. And then down here at the bottom, I just put in a couple of important things that I wanted to keep in mind as I do my planning throughout the month. One of the big things is my word that I've chosen for 2022 is consistency. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I posted about this towards the beginning of the year. I've decided instead of resolutions, I'm going to do commitments. And with that being said, those commitments are things that I want to make lifestyle changes and not just dedicate to one particular year or chapter of my life. I wanted to remind myself of that, and I also wanted to capture the projects that I have going on throughout my house monthly. Actually, every weekend I have what I call my weekend refresh project, so I like to capture those here and then prioritizing those things. So I'll just cover mainly, like I said, a lot of the pink here you see is for my daughter. She has a lot of doctor's appointments that we keep track of, and I keep those in this planner. I also track my appointments, reminders of things that may be coming up or being delivered to the house, sales and promotions, special days, birthdays, things like that I like to track. TV premieres, I have quite a few shows that I'm very interested in watching or putting on my DVR, and so those are also tracked here. Fitness is a new element that I'm actually trying to work in this year. I really want to start being physically active, if not every day, at least 2, 3, 4 times a week. And so I want to start tracking when I'm going to the gym and the different types of fitness activities that I do. Once I really get re-engaged with my local gym, then I'll start adding in classes or different activities that I want to do focused around my fitness. So I've added that as a new color code on my calendar. And then I have miscellaneous, and miscellaneous obviously covers anything else outside of my initial prioritized things that I like to track. For instance, our nail appointments, waxings, just anything random. You say, well, what's the difference between a reminder and miscellaneous? Reminders for me are more or less things that I don't want to forget, and miscellaneous like everything else in between. Definitely it's a personal decision what your calendar key looks like, but I do recommend having one in order to be able to visually see what all you have going on in the month. All right, so this was probably the biggest change in my Live Rich planner this year. I felt like I really wasn't using the personal finance page at all, to be honest with you, before. Primarily because I used a budget by paycheck workbook and other ways of tracking my spending and things like that. So I'm like, I just really don't like the idea of not using these pages. How can I use these different layouts to help me in ways that cover more than just my finances? So I really sat down and tried to brainstorm what all I like to capture in my personal life, knowing that this is my catch-all planner. What all could I put in here, right? So this year I have a lot of things that I want to do, a lot of things that I want to focus on. So I decided to turn this more into like a dashboard page. And if you're familiar with Happy Planner and some of the other planners that are out there, a lot of them do have a dashboard page at the beginning. Even the Erin Condren planners have dashboard pages at the beginning of the month for their planners. And that is something that honestly is missing from this particular planner, or I mean, you would have to kind of create it, so to speak, the way it is currently structured. And so that's what I chose to do. I decided I wasn't going to just use this layout for my finances. I was going to capture quite a few things here. What were the most important things that I wanted to turn back to throughout the month as reminders to help me with my weekly spreads, as well as track on a regular basis. So I started out by changing the 2 boxes here at the top. I think this was for like the month and the week. I said, you know what, this year I'm focusing on fitness, so let me start planning to track my weight journey on a monthly basis. So I started this with a start weight and an end weight for each month, and I plan to write in whatever my end weight is for this month. Behind the scenes, I actually weigh myself daily or every other day, and I take a snapshot of that in my cell phone so I can go back even if I forget to put this in at the end of the month, and hopefully I've taken a picture at the end on the 31st so that I can write that in in terms of what that weight is. Then we move down to financial goals. I did want to maintain some level of financial accountability in this planner because it does tie to my weekly planning. So I did decide to keep some of my financial goals in here. I do reiterate these in my budget by paycheck workbook, and I'll talk about that in a future video, kind of how I use these two planners together. But I did keep my financial goals here. I then changed this next section, and if you have the Live Rich planner, you probably haven't made as many changes as I have, so you can follow along to see what the original sections are. But for me, I don't even rely on that anymore. I try to just have an open mind and create what I need. So this second section, I can't remember what it was originally called, but I've switched it to my wellness and fitness goals. I wanted to incorporate wellness and fitness in this planner for myself because it ties to my meal plan, it ties to my activities on a regular basis, it ties to my budget and finances in some ways. So I wanted to kind of incorporate that as well into my planner spreads and start tracking that on a monthly basis. So I've created some goals around that. I also like to keep my shopping list here. And this really isn't a grocery shopping list. It's kind of like things I need around the house or random things that I see online or other places that I would like to purchase. And so I want to keep this as kind of a rolling shopping list. Will this move at some point? Possibly, because I do have a shopping list actually on a weekly basis as well. But for right now, I'm just using this space for that. Also down here at the bottom, I've switched out what was previously here, and I'm using these boxes to actually capture what my monthly savings challenge will be, the balances for those. So the $5 challenge, my word for the month, and then also the Christmas 2022 savings challenge. I am capturing how much I collect at the end of the month in these boxes when I'm done. And one thing for me to know is I did not purchase the 2022 savings challenges simply because I didn't do the 2021 and I purchased those. So I'm like, this year I'm going to do those 2021 and maybe I'll catch up in 2023. Yeah, right? Yeah, next year with whatever challenges the Budget Mom releases at that time. But this year I'm doing the word of the month and then also the Christmas savings. And so I'll be tracking those here in terms of how much I collect for this month. I also have a couple of projects that I want to start saving for or allocating funds towards in terms of my household. And so I've listed those under projects. And then in terms of, you say, Tiffany, you changed so much. Did you keep anything? Yes, I did keep a few things here. So my monthly income, I do actually like to check off when I receive those things. I track all of this in my budget by paycheck workbook, yes, but I appreciate a list form of things as well sometimes, just to say, hey, I've got that, I've paid that, I did that, I da-da-da-da-da. And in the budget by paycheck workbook, it's structured a lot differently. So I felt that this was a way to kind of give me that satisfaction. So I've kept my monthly income or expected income for this month, and then I've also kept my monthly expenses, listed them all out, and I will be tracking when I pay them, if they're paid, and then having a list of all of those expenses. And I actually found this very helpful because I did this prior to creating my January budget calendar in my budget by paycheck workbook, and it made it so much easier to just go down the line, pick day after day, and write in what my expenses were. So I'm definitely going to keep this as a habit and a way of tracking what my expenses are in both of my planners. Over here, this was a calendar layout, and I guess it's intended for financial purposes, for no spend days and things like that, but I really don't track a lot of that stuff, so I decided to make this a wellness plan. I wanted to dedicate at least one thing a day to improving, enhancing, increasing my wellness and health. And so I've allocated one thing a day that I want to track in my planners in terms of focusing on wellness. I also created a YouTube section. If you know from my last few Plan With Me videos, I was using a similar layout on the personal planning page to do this, but I've actually transitioned to a whole new system for that. So I just like to track my YouTube videos, and you'll see actually actually that I'm tracking them on my weekly spreads as well. Just in terms of filming or uploading the videos in that case. But this will help me remember that I need to film, edit, and upload my YouTube videos throughout the month. This also allowed me to use these boxes for my social media. So I'm tracking my YouTube numbers and my IG numbers because I'm trying to grow my platforms in that way. This last section I've turned into my sinking fund section. So this is where I'll be tracking my different sinking funds throughout the month. I've actually broke these out rather than one particular goal, but into two of my sinking funds each. And I'm going to be tracking what I plan to save and then obviously what I'm saving each month for that. This bottom section here is just more reminders about what I want to carry over into the next month. And this little sticker here is just a core and a reminder to keep going. That is what I now consider my January personal dashboard. And going forward, I will use this page as my dashboard. And this just gives you some ideas about how to use this. If you find yourself not using the sections as originally designed in this planner, the beautiful thing about it is that it gives you so many different layouts that you can get very creative. If you're not a creator, you can always use this section to track other things that you do that might have various steps to them. This calendar can be used for many different things. I've used it in the past for meal plans. I've used it for just lots of different things, to track lots of different things. And so think of this as just another blank calendar in your planner. You can track a lot of things using this little monthly layout that doesn't necessarily have to be finance related. So that's my dashboard, and this is my personal planning page. As you can see, I am a big fan of personalizing things. I very rarely keep the original sections in my planner just because I like tracking things differently than I guess originally intended for some of my planners. For my personal planning page, I have changed a lot here as well. I use washi for decor now. I wasn't doing that before, but I really do like the added color and theme that it gives to my planner. So I definitely plan to do that in some of my future spreads. I also use these boxes to help me change out what I want to switch around in terms of my planners, and also just create new sections for things that I want to track. So on my personal planning page, this is the first one I've actually done for this month. I was not able to do one for the first week of January. So I'm starting with January 10th through the 16th. I have changed a lot of things around. So we'll just walk through everything and I'll tell you what I've changed and what I've kept the same. If you remember my prior Plan With Me sessions, I was actually using these boxes for my YouTube layout. As I mentioned before, this film edit upload was in this section, and then I had my Instagram information over here. I no longer need to do that in this planner. I've figured out a new system that works better for me for that. I was really trying to figure out what could I use this section for. I don't want to leave this blank, and I feel that there are things that I could be tracking here. So I decided to make it a don't forget section. Duh, right? Because in my daily planners, I tend to write down a lot of these things, but I don't have somewhere where I can actually kind of check them off. So I included a to call section, a to do section, and a to go section. And the idea behind it is every day of the week, I will have a designated thing to do in each of these categories, so I don't get overwhelmed by trying to constantly roll these things day to day. Under to call, I have one person that I definitely want to make sure that I get in touch with on that designated day. To do are things I definitely want to get done on the particular day or don't forget to do. And then to go is obviously my errands throughout the week. In the past, I've used these smaller sections to try to track these things, but I thought this was a great way to have more space to do that in designated days to get it done. It also helps with creating my weekly spreads because I can then look at Monday and say, okay, who do I need to call? Where can I fit that in? Things I need to do and places I need to go. So that's all here. Then I also opened this space back up for a shopping list. I don't necessarily track my groceries in here. I keep a list on my refrigerator for that. So this is more or less now a shopping list that will carry me from week to week or month to month in terms of things I need for my household from various places, Amazon particularly, because I'm always shopping on Amazon. The other thing I like to track here are my online orders. There's a lot of things that I purchase throughout the month and particularly week to week, so I'm keeping a dedicated section for online orders. Also, budget checks. So I am trying to really focus on making my personal finance a priority this year and getting things done on a regular basis in terms of keeping up with my budget. So I've decided to keep this as kind of a habit tracker for my budget. It really will remind me of the different things that I need to do to capture my budget for the entire month. And yes, I may repeat this week to week throughout my planner because I probably won't get all of these things done in 1 week, but it just will allow me to see where I am completing these things, and then maybe in the future being able to build out a monthly schedule in terms of when to complete these actions. Over here, I've created a declutter section. So basically I pick one designated place or thing or project in my house that I want to declutter, and I'm designating the box for that. These 3 boxes may change over time as I need them to. For this month, I wanted to focus on that. Also projects. Yes, I have my projects on this page, but this is just another reminder for projects or new project ideas I come up with throughout the weeks or the months. Also to watch. I'm not a big television fan, but I do love YouTube, Netflix, and all of that. So I just try to remember that I want to watch certain things in this section in a particular week. My top 3 is probably my favorite. It is not just household things. I break it out to cover cleaning, planning, personal. So every day I have what I call my top 3 in those 3 categories, and I try to track getting them done by just checking them off. It makes me feel good to see I got everything done in my top 3 on a particular day, and then to have all the boxes checked for a week. That's magic. Then over here we have this week and next week, and it's basically just capturing some of the important things going on this particular week and things that I need to remember to carry into my next week. Also an important and remember section. Yes, there are probably lots of places where, you keep this kind of information, but I feel like I'm a brain dump type person. So the more I have areas where I can just fill in little notes as I'm thinking out or planning out my week, the better. And so I've designated these 2 boxes to important and remember, and this will probably be a standing section on my personal planning pages going forward. That is my personal planning page. And last but not least is my weekly spread. And as you know, I like stickers. I love stickers. That's an understatement. So every week I basically try to sit down as often as I can and create this weekly view. It just gives me a really pretty, colorful way to track all the things that I have going on. On my weekly spread, I like to capture my cleaning project, my top 3s for each day. And I also track any packages and things like that that I plan to receive for the week, or if I know that it's coming. And then also little things. So this is more like a random. The 3rd section is not really my personal one because I have my wellness section and other sections in my planner. I still like to track my packages or different things that are designated on a particular day. But definitely cleaning and planning, those are staples. They will remain on my planner. I also like to track my weekend project. As I said, I do a weekend refresh almost every weekend. And so I like to track what that is and then break it out into the different steps for completion. I obviously love a lot of decor. So I've used my Your Year to Shine stickers for that. And I've tracked appointments that we have. I've tracked things that I want to get done throughout the house. I just try to track a lot of things. I'm really not that planner that likes to designate every particular hour to something, but I want to be able to use this as a quick reference on what I need to accomplish on a particular day or things that need to be carried over for future days. I also like to remind myself a new thing that I'm doing this year is journaling. So that is something new that I'm keeping on my tracker, and also having designated planner time every single day. I found myself trying to kind of layer my planning or do an entire day of planning, and it's just too overwhelming. Trying to break it into smaller chunks and doing kind of an hour or 2 hours a day is a lot easier, a lot better to be able to manage and track, and it just makes me feel better. So that's what I do. I also am tracking now the videos that I upload or when I plan to upload them throughout the week, some of the different things that I'm doing for my personal care. I'm also trying to track some of those things here: washing my hair, skincare, YouTube binge, all of that, filming, editing, and all of that for my YouTube page. I am trying to make sure I continue to designate time for that, but I don't necessarily have to track it as much here because I have another way of making sure that I get those videos and things done. That is pretty much my planning scheme for this month. I also am tracking my workouts over here, and then I have a little section over here, just don't forget, another don't forget section to brain dump as I go through this process and think of other things that I would like to incorporate. And the last thing that I'm actually including in my Live Rich planner now is a monthly meal plan. This actually comes out of the Budget by Paycheck workbook. I do understand the budget mom's logic in terms of using this as a way to help with structuring your food budget for the month, but for me, it's also essential for my household. So I'm hoping that future editions of her planners will include this layout in both of the planners. If you don't have her Budget by Paycheck workbook and just have the Live Rich planner, I think this monthly meal plan is also essential for that as well. This is my January monthly meal plan that I pulled from my Budget by Paycheck workbook. I sat down, came up with all of the meals that I plan to make. It also allows me to create a food budget for each payday. And I've used some little inserts from Erin Condren that I have that allow you to kind of add the little tab section, so I can put it in this planner as well. I keep a copy of this on my refrigerator for my family so that we all know, particularly my daughter, which night she's cooking and then what I'll be cooking throughout the week or not cooking throughout the week. And this is just a fun, colorful, creative way of being able to track that. At the end of the month, I plan to go back and actually fill in what my monthly food expenses are rather than a budget. I want to look at on a monthly basis, month to month, how much we're spending on food, and that will include takeout as well as our at-home meals. This is also a new addition for me in terms of how I'm laying out my Live Rich planner for the month, and I definitely plan on continuing this practice going into the new year. So I hope this gave you some ideas. If so, please give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be informed the very next time we have something to share on the Happiness Heal channel. Take care.